Okay, what's going on, YouTube? This is PNG Media News. Back at you again with another edition of the Concrete and Steel Chronicles. Today, you're in for a real treat. I got SnowRoc. I'm sure a lot of y'all are tapped into his channel. He's going to be giving us an overview of his life, being a Crip, and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, SnowRoc, what's going on, bruh?
What's up, big dog? What's up, big dog? Hey, what's up, everybody out there?
Yeah, chilling, bruh. So, let's get right into it. So, tell the people, where you from?
Man, I'm from San Diego, Southeast San Diego to be exact. I'm from neighborhood Crip.
Okay. All right. So tell me, like, what was your neighborhood like growing up? Tell me a little bit about your background, like how you got into cripping and all that good stuff.
Well, it was a hard story, you know what I'm saying? Growing up, I was in a dysfunctional family. We had, you know what I'm saying, issues. Father had alcohol issues. He put me out when I was 13, so I was on the streets.
Hmm.
And you know what I'm saying, one thing led to another. And then, you know what I'm saying, one of the homies was like, man, you can stay here, you know what I'm saying, if you sell this for me.
Hmm.
So by the time I was 14, I had my own apartment.
Okay. So so now was this gentleman, was he a crip also?
Yeah, that's my big homie.
Okay, so that was your introduction to crip.
Well, nah, you know what I'm saying? The street I lived on, you know what I'm saying? My next door neighbor, two houses down the other way, my neighbor, the people across the street, it was a lot of people that grew up right next door to me.
Okay. So is it safe to say that so you was kind of exposed to that at an early age? It was kind of like just a natural progression to go that route.
Well, for me as a kid, when I was a kid, all I wanted was a name and a reputation. You seen
Okay.
the guys that, you know what I'm saying, everybody respected, and that was the big homie or that just got out the pen or, somebody, you know what I'm saying, the homie, you know what I'm saying, who's hustling and, you know what I'm saying, got the low rider and, you know what I mean, doing this thing. And that's what I wanted, I wanted to be respected because, growing up, I was the only white boy. I got picked on a lot. So,
Mhm.
I just wanted to get to the point where, you know what I'm saying, ain't nobody gonna be picking on me no more.
Right. Okay. All right. So when you got with your big homie, now did that when you start working for him when you was living there, did that automatically make you a crip, or did you still have to go through the process of getting jumped in and all that?
Nah, I went through, I got back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how it is now. I've been out the streets for a long time. I was locked in a box for almost 20 years.
Okay.
But in the streets back in the day, you got jumped in. You had to, you know what I'm saying, you had to join up. You had to, want it. If you didn't want it, you know what I'm saying, some people were related and just fell in because that's what everybody else in the family was doing. But you know what I'm saying, I had to fight my way. You know what I'm saying? I got jumped in a bunch of times because, so a lot of people wasn't happy about having a white boy from, you know what I'm saying, from their neighborhood. So
Okay.
they made it extra hard on me. But you know what I'm saying, I personally believe all the stuff that I went through as a kid helped me to survive all the stuff I had to go through in the California prison system.
Okay. So speaking of that, so you said you had to like get jumped in a lot of times because people wasn't really feeling you being a white guy, being a crip. So what point do you feel that you really got the homies respect?
Well, that's the thing, you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I got to a point where, you know what I'm saying, I was in prison and you know what I'm saying, one of my younger homies was in there, you know what I'm saying, and he grew up like three houses down from my mama house. And you know what I'm saying, his he had a female coming to see him. It was a homegirl from young homegirl from the neighborhood. And she seen me in the visiting room and was like, "Oh, that's Snow Rock. He's like Bigfoot. Everybody heard of him, but ain't nobody seen him."
Okay.
Because I'd been locked up for so long.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's take it back a little bit. So you was on the street. So after you got in, give me a little bit like what was the streets like running for you? Now you got in with the big homie. Like what was that life like?
Back then, it was all about survival. We was out, you know what I'm saying, trying to have fun. We was doing some crazy stuff, back in the day, because like we used to be in the, I mean, riding around in stolen cars, and doing crazy stunts and stuff, and acting a fool, trying to. But we had to patrol the neighborhood. That was the youngsters. That was, at the time I was a youngster, so I had to. That was part of my, responsibility. Take care of the neighborhood. So anybody come through wrong color wrong, we got to get on them.
Okay.
And that's the way it was back then. It's not the same no more. Things are different now. Truthfully, I just came from a function with a bunch of Bloods and Crips together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good, finally seeing some well, I feel like I'm part of my community. I'm trying to be part of the community, doing, trying to do some positive things. So just trying to be a part of something.
All right. So when you was running them streets back then, who would you say your biggest enemy was? Was it the Bloods? Was it other Crips? Was it Serranos, Norteños? Who would you have the most funk with?
That would have to be the Bloods.
Okay.
It's because like my neighborhood, we got three different blood gangs on three different sides,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Oh,
we got one another Crip gang on one side.
all right. And did you ever function with Norteños when you was on the street?
Nah, we Southern California. We down here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
you was up. Okay.
yeah, this is San Diego. We're at the southern border.
Oh, that's still Southern. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So you like I said, you 15, and you get jumped in and all that. At what point? When is your first incarceration? What was that for?
Oh man, I was 9.
Oh, damn.
My first offense, I shot somebody, but he broke my mom's jaw. I was a
Mm.
little kid, I got my uncle's rifle and shot a guy in his leg.
Wow.
But I said, I was a little kid. I didn't know what else to do. Try and protect your family.
Right. Okay. So what was your first stint at the county jail?
Oh man, that was armed robbery.
Mm.
I robbed a drug dealer. The drug dealer came to court and said I stole the drugs he was selling out of his house.
Are you serious?
Hey, it's this court transcripts. It's crazy, but they twisted me up. I went all the way to trial. I didn't know nothing. I was a young kid. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to court is like going in the ring with Mike Tyson.
Mm.
And these lawyers, you know what I'm saying, they have all this training and preparation. And here I am, young, dumb, and don't know nothing. And you know what I'm saying, I just get, you know what I'm saying, yeah,
Mm.
they,
Did
they
you have a
didn't.
lawyer helping you?
I had a public pretender is what I called it.
Okay. All right.
But it was a lot of foul stuff. I didn't know the law. I heard stuff later on and found out stuff like supposedly they only had one person pick me out in the photo lineup, and he came and got up on the stand and said, "Do you see the man in the courtroom?" He said, "No."
Mm.
They said, "Well, didn't you pick somebody out in the photo lineup?" He said, "Yeah." And they said, "Who was that?" "That was the guy the police told me to pick."
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying? Now that's the only thing linking a white boy to this robbery at all.
Mm.
Because the whole story the drug dealer is telling and his woman is that three black guys came in with ski masks and guns.
Mm. Yeah.
So, it was crazy because in trial the woman who was the drug dealer's girlfriend, she got on the stand. She had already got on the stand and said she was smoking crystal and rock cocaine 20 minutes before people came in and robbed the place. And every story, police report, everything, three black people came in with ski masks and guns.
Mm.
And I was in the police report. Then in the preliminary trial, three black people with ski masks and guns. In the trial, now they have to link me because this guy said it wasn't me and police told him who to pick.
Mm.
So they have to link me to the crime. So she gets on the stand and said, "Yeah, he was the fourth person that came in. Why you didn't say nothing about this before?"
Wow.
"Oh, I forgot."
Wow.
But that's the way the system is. If you got money, you can make it work. But you know what I mean? The system is set up for us to fail. I'm saying, I chose, you know what I'm saying, I'm not complaining. I did it. You know what I mean? I did the time though, you know what I'm saying? You know, you think, you know what I'm saying, you don't they say do if you do the don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I did the crime, I did the time, but it's still not enough. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm always that violent person. That's it. That's all they see whenever they look at my record. I'm a violent gang member. Even no matter what I've done to better myself, I'm still just a violent gang member.
Okay. So that was messed up. So let me ask you this. So you get convicted on that. So you in the county jail. Take me through that experiment. What was the dynamic like when you came in?
It was crazy because I didn't know what to expect. I had been all through the juvenile system, so I've been in and out of juvenile facilities since I was 9. So you know, I knew the situation. I knew what I was dealing with, and when you come into county jail, it's the same thing. You know, don't you know what I'm saying? You know, don't let nobody. You know what I'm saying? You know, have the upper ground. Don't let nobody push you around. Don't take no mess. Don't you know what I'm saying? You know, don't give up.
Mm-hmm. So the people
And
initially, like where were you placed? Did people ask you where you were from, what you rode, or how did that whole dynamic play out amongst the inmates?
yeah, that's the thing. When I first my first day in county jail, when they put me in the phone tank, there was a guy in there, and I was in a paper suit because they took my clothes for evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave me the paper suit, and I'm in the white paper suit. And I'm about 180, 19, you know, about 6'3", you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not big. I'm kind of, you know what I'm saying, you know, I'm large, but I'm not, you know what I'm saying, big or nothing like that. So this dude in the tank, he's like, "Hey, you in for murder, huh? You in for murder?" And I'm just having a bad day. I just got locked up. They put me in county jail, and this dude is talking shit. And I'm just shaking my head. He's like, "Oh, you a tough guy, huh? I like making tough guys my bitch. I'm gonna make you my bitch." So I'm scared. You know what I mean? You know, this is, you know what I'm saying, my first time, and I done heard all the stories about what happens, you know what I'm saying, you know, with people, you know what I'm saying, when you go to jail. So I'm scared. I'm not, you know what I'm saying, that's something I'm not willing to give away. So when they open up the door and let me in the tank, I just come in swinging. And, you know what I'm saying, the dude didn't, you know, I don't know how it all happened. It was fast. And the dude had 6 stitches over one eye, 4 stitches under the other eye, and a broken nose. And then I broke my hand. So
Now, did you ever get plugged in with any other Crips in the county?
yeah, once I got inside, you know, I had a bunch of homies in there. As soon as I broke my hand and I went to the medical tank. When I got to the medical tank, my homeboy was in there and he had broke his hand because he had caught he was in county jail and he got put in a tank with the guy that shot him on the streets some years back. So
Mm,
now you don't have no gun to protect you. All you got is these, you
right.
know, and that's the thing. You know, I grew up and you know what I'm saying, you know, when you got a problem, we used to, you know, I remember banging, you know what I'm saying, we used to, you know what I'm saying, ride on the Bloods. And we used to get in the homie Skeeter Rabbit had a raggedy little Chevy Love truck,
Mm,
and we would ride over to the Bloods area, this spot called 45 Park, and jump out and beat up whoever was there. And then more of them would come, and we would jump in the truck and get chased up out of there.
mm,
And then they come over and catch us at the park and jump out and catch whoever's there. And it was before, you know what I'm saying, everybody was trying to kill each other. So it got to that point, and it's all bad. You know, I ain't trying to
right.
promote, you know what I'm saying, you know, killing my own folks.
Okay.
Not no more.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about the county dynamic. So when you get with your homies, being in that county environment, I'm sure it's like a lot of constant fighting. Where you put up more to like, okay, you gotta prove yourself, extra step than everybody else, or was people
Well, well, that was the thing. I didn't have to prove myself to my homeboys because
okay,
they knew me. You know what I
all
mean?
right,
They knew what they were dealing with. And you know what I'm saying, you know, they just, you know what I'm saying, you know, don't worry about, you know what I'm saying, you know, nobody jumping you. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm taking all fades, anybody that wanted, you know what I'm saying, you know, one on one. Now, if you try something else, then more people are going to get involved.
mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying, you know, I learned, you know what I'm saying, and I was told, you know what I'm saying, you know, by several people, you know what I'm saying, don't count on everybody to have your back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I chose to I'll go fight first. You know what I mean? If I think they're gonna do something to me, I gotta attack first.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you do. So you in the county, and from there you go on to state penitentiary. Where was the first joint you landed in, and what was that like?
Donovan was the reception. That was 1992. It was scary as hell coming through the gates the first time because when those gates close and you inside the electrified fence, gun towers everywhere, and you shackled up, and this, you know what I'm saying, like 50 other people shackled up with you, and you know what I'm saying, you don't know what to expect, you don't know what's coming, but you know what I mean, what choice do you have at this point?
Right.
I don't want to go. I'll be good. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Oh yeah. What time frame was this? Around what year was this when you went to Donovan?
1992.
92. Okay. So the 90s. Was that a period of high tension? Was it really rocking and rolling back then?
Yeah, it was a violent time. You know what I mean? That was back in the day. It was a lot of stuff going on back then.
Hmm. Okay. So you get there. You at the reception center. Again. So how did they? Where did they place you? Like, did the whites try to get you to come over to them? The Crips ready to embrace you? How did that go down?
Well, that's the thing. I went, you know what I'm saying, I'm a Crip. So, you know what I mean, you're gonna put me in a cell with a Crip. So as soon as I got there, it was an issue, with staff, with, what I'm saying, the inmates, with everybody, because this doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Whites don't go in the cell with blacks. That's, you know what I mean, it's not allowed. So it's a lot of things went on with that, but the staff, you know what I'm saying, at the time, it was a lady lieutenant, Miss Hodges, a black lady. And you know what I'm saying, she was, look, if he wants to be, you know what I'm saying, if that's what he wants to do, then let him do it. He has to deal with the consequences, not us. So, you know what I mean, that there it is. And then there was a white sergeant on a different shift who had a problem and was trying to put me in lockup because he knew there was going to be some problems behind me being on the yard, possibly racial riot, or, you know what I'm saying, not, at the least fights. So, you know what I mean, to avoid, he was just trying to get me out of the way. And Miss Hodges, the black lady, she was like, no, if he wants to, you know what I'm saying, walk the line, let him walk the line. So, you know what I'm saying, they locked me up, and then she pulled me out. Then they locked me up again, and then she pulled me out. And then I got into a fight on camera. I didn't know they had cameras, and, you know what I'm saying, but I got seen, you know what I'm saying, swinging, and, you know what I'm saying, because of that, they locked me up, and then I
Who are
got
you
transferred.
who are you fighting?
Whites, it was, you know what I'm saying, it was a known thing. The whites had a problem. So, you know what I'm saying, they sent the guy, and me and him went under the stairs, and, you know what I'm saying, one on one, we got down, and then that was it. The police didn't see it. It was quick. I got a busted lip. No one saw it. You know what I mean? I sucked up the blood and didn't let nobody see it. But he got a good, you know what I'm saying, a little uppercut in, but that was it. I didn't, you know what I'm saying, knock him out or nothing, but he fell down. So when he fell down, somebody said, that's it. And I backed up, and that was the end of the fight. He went with his people, and then there was a bunch of tension. So the police ended up, shutting down the day room program that we had, and to figure out what was going on. And, word was, people tell, there's a lot of snitching, and, what I'm saying, people dropping notes in places in the mailbox, wherever. So the staff knows everything that goes on. And once they found out fight was involved, then they check their cameras and they see, what I'm saying, what looks like swinging. Oh, yeah, you're out of here.
Okay.
So then I was back in lockup.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the politics at the time, because I'm hearing a couple of different things. So you said so the whites, so by you being a white guy in a black gang, the white inmate population had an issue with that. Is that correct?
Yeah. And that's the
Okay.
thing. My homies, you know what I'm saying, they told me, you know what I'm saying, as long as it's 1-on-1, you got to handle this.
Mhm.
But you ain't got to worry about nobody, you know what I'm saying, trying to jump you, nobody coming to stab you. But 1-on-1, you got to deal with, you know what I'm saying, and this was from a big homie who I really respected, you know what I mean, and I got a lot of love for. So, you know what I mean,
So tell me, I mean, what was that like for you? Thinking like, wow, I gotta constantly fight because of this. Did you ever at some point be like, man, I should have just came in and claimed white, or I mean, what was that like for you?
Well, that's the thing. At the time when I was in county jail, it was one of my older homies from my neighborhood, and he told me, "Look, when you go to prison, just go over there with them white boys and tell them you don't bang, and do your time and go home, man."
Mm,
Because he knew, you know what I mean? And at the time, I didn't understand, I was young and dumb. I'm like, man, what, you think I'm a punk? My big homie thinks I'm a punk, thinks I can't handle this.
mm,
Man, I can handle this. I ain't, what I'm saying? I came in cripping and I'm going to leave out cripping,
mm,
either walking, what I'm saying, or being carried one way or another. I'm
mm.
going in this way, I'm coming out this way. I wasn't raised to be, racist and the way things are in there. I wasn't raised that way. I was taken in by the community that I grew up in, and this is my family. This is who I am. So
Okay, okay. So when you went to different joints, was that dynamic the same? That the whites wanted to get at you for being in the black gang? That pretty consistent across your 20 years?
yeah, well, that's the thing. It was like I said, I've been stabbed 13 times. I've been in more fights than I can count, and I would always, try and initiate the fight,
Mm,
because anybody one on one, that's when I have my best opportunity.
mm,
But if everybody, they catch me slipping and it's a crowd or whatever, and somebody stabs me from behind or whatever, I got to worry about that every day.
mm. Now,
So it's a little nerve wracking.
okay. And did you feel, and how would you say as far as the other Crips, do you feel that they really had your back in most situations when it came to them people trying to jump in and stuff like that?
Well, like I said, I had a big homie told me, don't count on everybody to have your back, because they not. And it was a situation where, the whites they had a plan,
Mm,
and they came in and they stabbed me, and the guy ran off. But that's the thing. The trap was for me to follow him.
mm,
So when I follow him, they were going to get me from behind.
mm.
But other Crips seen this, and they immediately jumped up
Okay.
and got, I didn't know what was going on behind me
Mm,
until afterwards, when we were all in the lockup talking about it. Like, man, these dudes was coming up behind you, man. We just jumped up and got them. And I'm like, man, I didn't even know, because I was dealing with the dude I got stabbed behind my ear. All I got was 6 stitches.
mm. Okay.
So I gave him 13.
Mm.
So I felt it was a fair exchange.
Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you this. Now being 20 years, born in the 90s, progressing through the 90s to the 2000s, what were some of the changes in the dynamic of prison that you personally witnessed? Like, as far as like the politics when you came in, and about how the politics were when you were coming out. Were they the same, or did you see any shifts?
I seen a big shift. I was there for when, because when I first went to prison, as far as I know, it was like two yards that were protective custody
Mm,
PC. And every prison I went to, like I say, the administration asked me, do you want to go PC? Do you want to go into protective custody? Because the whites are probably going to try and stab you. And they're getting information from the inmates that, yeah, these guys are going to try and stab you. And there's been situations where I had to sign a chrono saying that I waive the rights, because they've advised me that there's threats on my life, and I have to sign this paper so that I can stay on the yard, because they're recommending I be moved off the yard,
mm,
because I'm a threat to the safety and security of the institution.
mm.
So if I sign the chrono, then they're not responsible if I get stabbed and die.
Okay.
So I had to do that all the time. And sometimes they wouldn't let me do that. They would just lock me up. And it's like, I didn't even do anything wrong. You locking me up just because somebody said they're going to do something to me? I've been on the yard every day. If they wanted to do something, they could have done something then. But because you got these notes or whatever, I end up, in the lockup facility for no reason and didn't do anything wrong. So it happened a lot. There was a lot of, what I'm saying, I guess, because now, like I said, there was two facilities that were protective custody.
Mhm.
And now it's like I heard last time I was in prison, I heard it was more, they call it SNY, sensitive needs
Mhm.
yards. It was more SNY yards than there are general population yards. So they're making people were tapping out saying, look, I don't want to be involved. And back then, the thing was, if you tap out and say, I give up, I don't want to be a part of this gang, I'm going to go tell the police. Police going to put you in a lockup facility 23 hours, 1 hour rec a day, and a shower every 3 days. And
Mhm.
then you'll stay in that lockup facility until you do what's called debrief.
Mhm.
And that's when you tell the police or the administration everything you know about the gang, whatever gang you guys dealt with, and everything you know. So people debrief and tell them everything they know, and then they go to these sensitive needs yards.
Okay.
And now, so many sensitive needs that they're mixing the general population. You guys have to go half of you and half of these sensitive need people together, or you're going to get more time.
Mhm.
So they just making it hard on people, harder to get out and or be in there and deal with all the prison politics is bad.
Mhm. Now, yeah, speaking of that, now can you give me an assessment? Like, okay, like I want you to kind of break down each from just from your observation at the Crip. Like, what's your observation of some of the other cars? Like, for example, start with the Serranos. What did you think of the Serranos? Like, how did they function in your eyes? Were they formidable enemies, or what
well,
was the type?
they were our biggest enemy
Okay.
because they have structure, and their structure is, they have the best structure as far as, when the bosses give word to jump.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, everybody is going to jump and
Okay.
be waiting up in the air until they say they can come back down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's structure, you know what I mean? And that's because, what I'm saying, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then you're going to get dealt with. And when I mean dealt with, I mean, what I'm saying, lose your life, whatever. You know what I mean? It's a lot of, you know, so that's why people were going into the SNY, because they didn't want to be a part of this regime, this, what I'm saying, the Southsiders, what I'm saying, they had their own, structure. And, I don't know all their business. That's their business. What I'm saying, always minding my own business. And that's part of what got me through. You know what I mean? Because if you in everybody else's business, oh, you're gonna eventually get caught up.
Right. But of course, you had to observe them because they're your enemies. So you still have to kind of know what you're coming up against, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When, what I'm saying, like I said, I was stabbed 13 times. Not all of those were by whites. You know what I'm saying? Once was in a black and Mexican riot in county jail in 1991.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk some more about that. Okay, now okay, so we talked about the Serranos. Okay, now what was your assessment of the northern car? How are they?
Well, that's the thing. I only had a small little view of that because my first term, I went to Donovan. Like I said, I told you I got in a couple fights, and then they transferred me. They put me in the lockup until I got transferred out. When I got transferred out, I went to Jamestown.
Mhm.
That was the farthest north I had been. Most of my
Okay.
time was done down south.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, what I'm saying, when I left Donovan, I went to Jamestown. As soon as I got there, I got into some more stuff and went to the hole. Got into some more stuff, and I went to Chino. Got into some more stuff and went to Chuckawalla Valley State Prison. Got into some more stuff there and went to Corcoran. Corcoran, I was there for like 2 years, and then I was able to parole. But that was after getting into it with the officers. I kind of pissed off the wrong officer, and he took his belt and his badge and his billy club off and came up in the cell for a 1-on-1.
Mhm. Now, how'd that go?
It didn't go good for him. He got I got him, you know what I'm saying? We was fighting. He tried to grab me, wanting to wrestle. I made him bounce off a lot of stuff in the cell because I was used to fighting in the cells. And then, you know what I'm saying, I ended up getting him in a sleeper hold and he tapped out. So I let him go. You know, I didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, kill him. So I let him go and he left out the cell and I thought it was over with. And then, you know what I'm saying, the next morning it was like 3, 4 in the morning. Now I'm in the chute, so the door don't open unless you cuffed up. But all of a sudden my door just opened up and they came in and they beat me. They beat the mess out of me. So
All right. So okay. Now the white car. What was your assessment of them? Like, did they have a structure? How did they function?
yeah, that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? They have a structure, but the main problem with that is like the drugs.
Okay.
People are not. They have people in the structure who are supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, not on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
but drugs, control a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing, you know what I'm saying. They were more controlled by drugs, and that was used in my favor at times.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So.
Okay. Now, the last car, the black car. Now, before you talk about them, is there such thing as a black car, or is it more correct to say a Crip car, blood car, uh, Bay Area car? Break that down for me.
Well, that's the thing. The blacks, you know what I'm saying? The black car is broken so many pieces. You already know it's hard to get black folks to work together. You know what I mean? But everybody, you know what I'm saying, should be trying to
Mm-hmm.
because right now it's important. But inside it's really hard because everybody's doing their own thing. You got San Diego Bloods, you got L.A. Bloods, you got what I'm saying up north like the 415. You got Kumi, you got the what I mean, all these different groups that have to come together. You have to deal with what I'm saying, so many different people, mentalities. You know what I'm saying. Some people ain't got it all. And in there it's there's a lot of them that don't have it all, and it's hard, what I'm saying, because that place will take everything from you. I've seen people lose their minds, stuck in a cell, just screaming, and it's a foul place.
And getting back to like the black car. Now, when it came to like, because I know you said the Serranos were your biggest enemies. Overall, would you see that the blacks generally hold their own against them, or was it their biggest weakness that it was so hard for them to come together? It made them easier targets. Break that down because you hear a lot of different misconceptions going around. What was you, from your perspective? How did you see that situation?
From my perspective, I think it was, it depends. There's always different dynamics. Each prison has different, like the prison I was at, Donovan. I did 8 years in Donovan level 3, and it was a lot of stuff going on. And like I said, I was there for 8 years, so I was able to see a lot of stuff come, go, rise, fall, and what I mean. I still sat, right there and watched, but I learned. And what I'm saying, Donovan was like the best time I ever did. And it's a lot of people that we joke about it. I mean, we used to have fun, because when you in there, all you got is what's in there. So you're not worrying about what's going on out in the streets because that doesn't affect you. And like I had, one of my little homies used to bug me all the time. He'd like, man, what's wrong? What's wrong? And it's like, I'm saying, what are you talking about? Why are you always asking me what's wrong? Ain't nothing wrong. I'm always all right. And he's like, nah, man, you look like your dog died or something. I'm like, man, I'm saying, what I got to be happy about? You know what I mean? I'm mad at the world. Why? Because the world mad at me, you know? So that was my mentality at the time. And like now, I've been out longer than I've been out since I was 9 years old and living my best life. And smiling is something that I'm not used to because you always wear that mask that you don't want nobody to mess with you. That's all it is. It's a self defense mechanism. And at times I don't know how to take it off. Even my wife, you know what I mean? I work on it and I'm still working on it. But I'm saying every day I'm getting better. But overcoming the mental stresses of, I'm saying, incarceration are difficult, and everybody has to deal with whatever they had to go through because you don't know what the next man had to go through. I know what I had to go through, but I don't know, I'm saying there's people that had to go through way worse than what I had to go through and I seen it. So, I mean, I don't, I'm saying, I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. I'm, I'm saying blessed to still be here.
Right. So now, did you ever come across any members of like the so-called Big Four? Like, do you ever see a BGF member interact with them? Did you ever see a KB member or anything like that?
Well, yeah, I'm saying, like I said, I was in a lot of lockup facilities. So,
Okay.
I mean, I ran across, I'm saying, a few, I'm saying, and it was, I'm saying, like uh the brand, the Aryan Brotherhood. I seen like maybe two of them
Mhm.
that I knew of.
Okay.
I'm sure I've seen more that I didn't know of.
Okay. Okay.
But, at the time, I'm saying, the thing that helped me survive was there was a young group called the Nazi Lowriders. They were, I'm saying, the faction that were trying to, I'm saying, be the most I think the police talk about they were trying to be the most bloody group.
Mhm.
So and they didn't get along with some of the other whites, so that because of that, the other whites, the skinheads, left me alone because the Nazi lowriders were looking really bad when they
Mhm.
tried to do something to me.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. And did you ever, when you were in, were the Crip paperwork groups still around, like the CCOs and Blue Notes? Were they ever still around?
Yeah, the paperwork, I'm saying, there's still people, I'm saying, I don't I didn't, I ain't mess with none of that.
How come? What was your thoughts about them groups?
Well, that's the thing, I'm saying, my personal thing on that is loyalty. What are you loyal to?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because if you're loyal to five different factions, I'm saying, what happens when one is against the other?
Hmm.
Then which side are you on?
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, I don't I I'm saying, I chose my side. This is my section. So
Okay.
I ride with this and I'm saying, I don't try and ride on nobody's coattail or nothing like that.
All right. A couple more questions about the prison dynamics before we get switch it up a little bit. So, when you were in, you were with your particular set of Crips. How much function did you have with other Crip sets while you were locked up?
Oh yeah, that's daily. It's
Okay.
daily. Yeah.
All right. And was it
Because the Crips fuck with each other, you know what I mean?
okay?
They have Crips that don't like other Crips, but they just stay away from each other. And you know what I mean? We all in here together. We have to deal with it. So,
Okay.
make the best. Some people, if you know what I'm saying, can't deal with being with that person, then it's you know what I'm saying, whatever has to happen will happen.
Okay. And let me ask you this. Now you were functioning with the Crips, so you were pretty much with the blacks per se. So how are you perceived by like the Bloods and stuff like that? Did you ever have any funk with them, or they kind of, he rocking with the brothers, he I? How what was that dynamic like?
Well, that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? I had an issue, you know what I'm saying, when I first went to prison. And you know what I'm saying, I had said something that somebody a blood felt disrespected. So I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to somebody else. He felt disrespected. So, you know what I mean? We went and fought afterwards, you know what I'm saying? It was over with. But, you know what I'm saying? My homeboy kind of, you know what I'm saying, got in my ear because, you know what I mean? I'm in a rare situation. You know what I mean? I'm a white boy. I'm running with the blacks. So I can't be fighting with the blacks
Mhm.
and then expect them to ride with me.
Okay.
So I got to respect all, you know what I'm saying, not just, you know what I'm saying, the Crips, not just my homies, but, you know what I'm saying, everybody.
Okay.
And, you know what I'm saying, it was a learning process. And I had, like I said, I had a big homie who had been in prison for, you know what I'm saying, many years when I got there. and he the one who, laced me up on what I needed to do and how to do it so that I would be able to survive.
Okay. And what was the biggest riot you were involved in, or
The
one of the biggest riots?
biggest, oh, I don't know. I've been in a bunch of them. I think the biggest would be in Donovan. The reason they kicked me out after 8 years. So
Okay. All right. And what was that one about?
another white Crip had came to the yard,
Okay.
and it was a kind of situation that all went all bad. But the dude, you know what I'm saying, he's no longer active. He PC'd up or whatever.
Okay.
But the dude, he came to the yard, and I heard that he was there, so I pulled him aside and talked to him because he was in a. Now the prison I was in is a reception prison. The yard I was on is not a reception yard, but they house overflow people that are pending transfer or whatever on our facility. So we get to see all these guys, right? So this guy came over there, and then the other homies told me that it was a white boy and he was a Crip. So I went in and hollered at him, and I told him, man, look, you know what I'm saying, white boys get at you funny, say something funny, act funny, take off.
Mhm.
Keep taking off until they leave you alone. I don't know no other way. I don't know no other way because that's what I did. Anytime, you know what I'm saying, my homie taught me, you know what I'm saying, don't wait for them to come after you. If you feel like they're gonna do something to you, you take off first because you catch them off guard and you live to fight another day.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you and Donna. So, okay. So let me ask you this: when did you start your transformation process? Was it like a gradual process, or was it like a big aha movement where something happened and you said, you know what, I gotta change my life? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, that was Donovan too.
Okay.
Donovan was where I got to the point where when I caught all the time that I had because I got locked up. I did this one. I did 12 years straight, and I got locked up in '94, and I had been down. I didn't think I was going to survive. When I went to prison, I figured, I was at level 4, and I figured the whites was going to kill me eventually. So I just want you to remember my name. That's it. You're just going to remember my name. And then, you know what I'm saying, after I got to Donovan and years passing, because it was like a Buck Rogers day, 12 years. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Well, I actually, you know what I'm saying, I got sentenced to 9 and then got 5 years added on. But long story short, I saw a light at the end of the tunnel where I might make it out of here, you know, because at one point I just figured, you know what I'm saying, eventually the whites are going to get me, but I'm just going to fight and live my life, you know what I'm saying, until then. And now, you know what I'm saying, here it is, you know what I'm saying, I'm out here living my best life.
So when you start think when you start seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, so you was hopeful getting out, but yet at the same time you had to still do your thing in order to survive. I mean, so what was that like mentally? Wanting to get out, but still having to be this, be this get down dude because people trying to take your life. I mean, what made you not saying, you know what, I ain't going to the other side. I'm still gonna walk the main line. Was that just a pride thing, or what was that?
That's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, like I was talking about earlier, when I was a kid, all I wanted was a name and a
Mm.
reputation. And
Okay.
that was, you know what I'm saying, it was a learning process because when I was little, I wanted that name and reputation. Now I got it, and it was like now I'm like Bigfoot. Everybody heard of me, but nobody's seen me because I've been locked away in a cage.
Mm.
So, that was uh I got distracted. I got lost on that one.
And also, no, you answered it. So, all right, so you get out of prison. 20 years later, what was the how much had the world changed? Like, what was it like you first getting out? Was it like a shocking
We
experience?
it was unbelievable. It was um getting out for me. It was like I paroled. I did my last 8 months in the hole, so I didn't
Mm.
have no pre-release, no preparation, no nothing. After doing 12 years, 7 months straight, I paroled with no place to go, No family, no, you know what I'm saying, I just got to check in with parole. So
Wow. And like,
it was scary. I didn't know where to go, what to do. I had a plan before in Donovan. My plan was that Donovan had this drug program called Amity. I was in the drug program when the riot happened, and this was my learning how to train myself to do things differently so that I can live outside.
mhm,
And I was taken away from that. Then I was bounced from fight and riot to another riot to the hole, and then I got released, and now, you know what I'm saying, I don't know where to go, and I ended up getting into a drug program on my own. They hooked me up with a job, and 2 days later, it was through a temp agency. 2 days later, that company had hired me on, full time because they seen how hard I was working. But my mentality was I was inside working for pennies, and you're gonna pay me dollars, I'll work for dollars.
mhm. Okay.
So, they seen that, and they, you know what I'm saying, the company's done a lot for me. This is the best company I ever worked for.
Okay.
But they taught me a lot too.
Right. Now I'm sure you've seen those comedy movies where they always have a guy who's been in prison and he acts like he's still in prison, he's on the street. So you coming out 20 years later, do you find yourself like doing some of the same behaviors or same habits that you had inside that you haven't been able to kick?
Well, I have like I call it programming.
Mm,
I've been programmed, in prison. I taught myself to go to work every day. I got a
mm,
job in what's called PIA, Prison Industry Authority.
mm,
And that was like a paid job. But you start out at 30 cents an hour, and the most you can make is 95 cents an hour. And I started in there, and I worked in there for 5 years, just training myself to go to work and deal with whatever you had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? To get the get the process done. And it was hard. I still have a whole bunch of stuff that I personally deal with,
mm,
but I have uh, I have a toolbox full of tools,
mm.
and you know what I'm saying. I got support. I got family, my wife. You know what I mean. It's still a process. I'm still working on it. I'm still going through a lot, but you know what I'm saying. It's a lot of people. If the way I see it is, it's a lot of people out here that'll give you a hand up if you really need it, if you really want it.
Right. How long have you been out?
I've been out 7 years. This is the longest I've been out since I was 9 years old.
Mm, okay. And well, the last few minutes we got. So what's going on with you? I know you got a pretty good thriving YouTube channel. Do you ever have plans to write a book about your life or anything like that? Do you do speaking engagements or anything?
Well, I'm working on the book. I got a piece of it that I was trying to get out, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff, what I mean, got piled on, and I got distracted, trying to keep up with the YouTube. I work, I'm saying, my main hustle, I work 10 hours a day. So
Okay.
that's most of my time right there. And then, I'm saying, I'm a weekend warrior on YouTube, trying to do my little channel.
Okay. All right. Yeah, speaking of YouTube, so if people wanted to get at you, shout out your channel real quick and let them know if you got any other social medias, anybody listening wanted to get at you about anything.
Yeah, so it's Standing Tall with SnowRoc on YouTube, Facebook, Joey Patuka. Anybody want to hit my email? It's nh snowroc snowroc at gmail. I'm trying to keep pushing forward on a positive note. You know what I'm saying? Trying to live my life to the best of my ability. Trying to do the most I can with what I'm working with.
Okay. Yeah, you can't ask for more than that. That's all good, bro. Well, we're gonna kind of wrap this up. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for taking time out your 10-hour day to spend a few minutes with me. I really appreciate that. So, any last words you want to say to the people or anything while we're here?
Oh man, keep doing what you're doing. Everybody out there, you know what I'm saying? Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep pushing forward. Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah. And everybody out there, go check out his channel. He got a real good channel. If you couldn't catch his social medias, you want to get at him, just drop a message in the comments, and I'll make sure you get touched. You know, you got a good story, and I definitely want people, you know, to hear what you got to say. So, okay, so there you have it, YouTube. This has been another edition of the Concrete and Steel Chronicles. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And until next time, peace out.